so used to. Shalom, Most High in Christ bless. Happy Sabbath to the 12 tribes of Israel. I'm Brother Raphael. To my right,
Brother Benaniah.
today's topic is called, For the Lord's Camp is Great. For the Lord's camp is great. Who is the Lord's camp? You so-called blacks. You so-called Hispanics. And Native Americans, according to our fathers, we are the 12 tribes of Israel. We are the people of the book. We are the people the Most High God loves. And the thing about it, y'all, is our people have to recognize that when you look at the different camps, what they want to call it, and let's deal with it. We're gonna deal with the different types of camps and the ideologies of it, and how we're gonna bring it out today. Because one thing about it, y'all, is our nation is in crisis. We have to come together as a nation one day. We know when Christ come back, that's going to happen. Certain things have to take place. Certain events have to take place. And you know, that's the most beautiful thing about it. But right now, we have to teach what we know and learn what we know and apply what we know. It's a basic process. Okay, but some of y'all may be new. We just can't say we have Christ and no laws and laws and no Christ that will be coupled together. Give me the book of Isaiah, chapter 8 and verse 20 to give me the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 8, brother.
Shalom, happy Sabbath. Isaiah chapter 8, verse 20.
Go ahead.
To the law.
To the law. So the whole Bible is the law. Okay? We use the 1611 King James Version Bible, one of the most accurate Bibles out there. It is a close thing to the original text. Okay? How do we know it's the book of the law? Joshua chapter 1, verse 8. Then come back to the book of Isaiah 8 and 20, brother. Go ahead.
Joshua chapter 1, verse 8.
Go ahead.
This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth,
Uh-huh.
but thou shalt meditate therein day and night.
Go ahead.
That thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein.
Uh-huh.
For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous.
Go
and
ahead.
then thou shalt have good success.
Because prosperity, true prosperity, is having an opportunity to get the kingdom as a repentant Israelite. It isn't always about monetary gain or about materialism. It's about having the opportunity to get the kingdom as a repentant Israelite. That is success. Okay, being able to be in your right mind. Go back to the book of Isaiah in chapter 8 and verse 20. And give me the book of Revelation chapter 19 verse 10, brother.
Isaiah chapter 8, verse 20.
Go
to
ahead.
the law and to the testimony.
And the testimony. Revelation chapter 19 verse 10 defines out what's the testimony according to the Bible, but precept must be upon precept. Go ahead, read, brother. Go ahead.
Revelation chapter 19, verse 10.
Go ahead.
And I fell at his feet to worship him.
Uh-huh.
And he said unto me, see thou do it
Now
not.
the angel had to stop John. He says, see thou do it not. Because had John bowed down to the angel, he would have been in the midst of idolatry. Go ahead, read on, brother, read.
I am thy fellow servant.
I am thy fellow servant. We serve our people, then we serve the Most High. We serve. It's read on.
And of thy brethren
Uh-huh.
that have the testimony of
The
Jesus.
testimony of Jesus or the Christ. Some of y'all may say Yahweh Shai or Yeshua, but we do know he is the Son of the Most High. Read on.
Worship God.
Worship the Most High, God of Israel. No other God can top him. Read on.
For the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy.
Because if you don't have the Spirit of Christ on you, you want to understand this Bible. You be lost in the sauce, really will not comprehend at all, no understanding. Now, go back to the book of Isaiah in chapter 8 and verse 20 to give me the book of Proverbs chapter 6 verse 23.
Isaiah chapter 8, verse 20.
Go
to
ahead.
the law
Uh-huh.
and to the testimony.
Go ahead, brother.
If they speak not according to this word,
Mhm.
it is because there is no light in them.
If your spiritual leader or your pastor, whoever may be called themselves, if they're not speaking precept upon precept as the Bible is written, it says there's no light in them. What's the light? Proverbs chapter 6 verse 23. Go ahead, read, brother, read.
Proverbs chapter 6, verse 23. For the
Mhm.
commandment is a lamp.
Go ahead.
And the law is light.
Mhm.
And reproofs of instruction are the way of life.
Because the commandments covered with Christ supposed to help you navigate through sin, which is darkness. The example would be if you are a person who loves to lie or steal or cheat, you're supposed to take the commandments to a higher level through Christ and recognize Christ was a liar or thief. Therefore, you are a representative of Christ. That's the most important thing. Now, for the Lord's camp is great. You know, it's funny. It amazes me, everybody, how people get so caught up in the so-called camp, what they want to call about camps, and people how negative things said about camps, and oh, don't go to a camp, don't do this, and so forth. Okay, but the Lord has a camp, and when you think about it, you have to ask yourself a serious question. What was Christ and his disciples? What were they called? if you think about today, because really we'll find out what a camp really is about. Okay, go to Numbers, chapter 1, verse 52 through 54. Let's go to what is really truly a camp, because I think what happens, our people get so caught up in the term camp, they have a negative, I would say a negative outlook on it, or whatever you want to call it. But let's find out the historical facts of our nation and what is a camp and what does it consist of. Okay, Numbers chapter 1 and verse 52. Okay, give it to me, brother.
Numbers chapter 1 and verse 52.
Go ahead.
And the children of Israel shall pitch their tents, every man by their own camp.
By his own camp. So every man by his own camp. Pay attention. Read on.
And every man by his own standard throughout their host.
So every man by his own standard, by what? Man by his house, by his own camp. Okay, at your household, that's your camp. Your household, that's your camp. That is your first church. That's your first congregation. It's at home. Go ahead, read on. Next verse.
Verse 53. But the Levites shall pitch round about the tabernacles of the testimony, that there be no wrath upon the congregation of the children of Israel. And the Levites shall keep the charge of the tabernacle of testimony.
So the camp is congregation, because if you think about it, it's really a congregation. So the term camp is just an organization of people. That's all it really is. And like I said, at your own home, that's your camp. That's your first church is at home. Your congregation is at home, because that is your camp. But it's by the standard of that man. That's your camp. That's your personal camp at home. But as you bring it up to today's time, we have what we call a congregation. That's when people come together to gather together to do whether it's feast days or come together, as people, as a nation. Go ahead, read on. Go ahead.
Verse 54. And the children of Israel did according to all that the Lord commanded Moses, so they did.
Because at the end of the day, the Lord instructed Moses to gather all together the camps. So the same way today, hold that. Give me the book of Zephaniah, chapter 2, verse 1. Because we have to gather ourselves together. What we're trying to do, not just this organization, various organizations or camps have to do this. Okay, because that's what you should be doing. If you are an organization, a camp, a congregation, your job is to do this, because that's the most important thing. See, it's about getting our people together out this crazy captivity, because right now people are in crisis, right? They're in crisis mode, okay? That's why it's very important to be careful what we put on Facebook, be careful how we carry ourselves, because we are ambassadors of Christ, like we said last night. Zephaniah, chapter 2, verse 1. Gather yourself together. Read on.
Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 1. Gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired.
We're not desired. As you do know, the so-called black, so-called Hispanic Americans, we are on the bottom, really. When people think about us, their first mindset isn't nothing positive. I promise you that. So we're not a nation that's desired, especially right now, because we're looked upon as negative, when you think about it, okay? From there, stay in Numbers. Go to chapter, I'm thinking, Numbers chapter 10, verse 1. Stay in Numbers. I have to think about that for a minute. Today was a great camp today. We had a great camp today. As a matter of fact, brothers that was out there at camp today, beautiful job today. Now my voice is a little bit hoarse because we know out there, crying aloud, sparing not. But we had great camp today. And other camps out there that's out there doing the work, other organizations out there doing great works. It's about pushing this truth to the apocalypse. We want to get out of here, okay? We want to get out of here, okay? Numbers chapter 10, verse 1. That's what I want.
Numbers chapter 10, verse 1.
Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Make thee two trumpets of silver. Of a whole piece shalt thou make them, that thou mayest use them for the calling of all the assembly, and for the journeying of the camp.
So as you do know, we had to blow the trumpet back during that time to gather together the nation, to gather our nation together, whether it's for war or whether it's for feast days. Like right now, we're blowing the trumpet of the scriptures. We're raising up our voices to blow the trumpet of the scriptures right now. Okay? So you look at that. So at this time, we're establishing our nation. That's why we had different camps. And what it is structure and order. Go ahead, read.
Verse 3. And when they shall blow with them, all the assembly shall assemble themselves to thee at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation.
At the door of the tabernacle at the congregation. At the congregation. So that should show you, even in ancient times, your camp is just your people. That's all it really is. The Lord just worded it as a camp or a congregation. It's just your people to come together under one nation and one God. We know the Most High, and there you understand we're dealing with Christ as well. Okay, next verse, read.
Verse 4.
Yes.
And if they blow but with one trumpet, then the princes, which are heads of the thousands of Israel, shall gather themselves unto thee.
So you at this time, when, like I said before, when you were blowing the trumpet during this time, the shofar basically, it was gathering the heads of Israel at every man's standard. Because during this time, you were responsible for your household and you're responsible for your positions, your head, you were leadership. So as we look at leadership, it was established in ancient times. That's why you have to have structure. If you don't have structure, even in your life, it's going to be total chaos. You have to have structure. So that's where you get the term camp or congregation. You must have that. And believe you me, the men's supposed to be led by the Spirit of Christ. That's the most important thing. That's the most important. So when you look at the camp or whatever the case may be, every camp or church has a spirit on it. Everyone does. Even the ones, even when you think you're not a part of a camp, you're a part of the same doctrine. Because you can still be, you can say, you know what, I don't want to be a part of a camp. But you still have the same doctrine of that particular camp. You see? You know, let's say you believe that, let me just use it as an example. You believe that the new moon is a full moon. You may not be a part of that organization, but if you believe that, you're really a part of that spirit. So it doesn't make any difference. That's why I keep telling people it doesn't make difference. A difference is based on you have an understanding and being able to walk together and agree in the doctrine. That's the most important thing about a camp or a congregation, to be in order. Okay? From there, I want you to give me the book of Numbers. Stay in Numbers. Give me the chapter 12, verse 4 now. Numbers chapter 12, verse 4. Stay in Numbers.
Numbers chapter 12, verse 4.
Yes.
And the Lord spake suddenly unto Moses,
Mhm.
and unto Aaron,
Mhm.
and unto Miriam.
Go ahead.
Come out ye three unto the tabernacle of the congregation.
So the tabernacle of the congregation. And what they did, and what happened?
And they three came out.
Because now what's starting to happen, because they were murmuring against Moses, who the Most High God set up, now it's time to get judged. Excuse me, because they were murmuring and complaining about Moses, who the Lord set up. Go ahead, read.
Verse 5.
Mhm.
And the Lord came down in the pillar of the cloud.
Go ahead.
And stood in the door of the tabernacle,
Mhm.
and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth.
Go ahead, read.
Verse 6.
Mhm.
And he said, Hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision.
Go ahead.
And will speak unto him in a dream.
So the Most High is giving Marion and giving Aaron, making them understand, if I deal with a prophet, a regular prophet, I would deal with him through a dream or a vision. Go ahead, read.
Verse 7, my servant Moses is not so.
Go ahead.
Who is faithful in all mine house.
So it's beginning clear that Moses is different. Moses is different. Read on. Go ahead.
Verse 8,
Mhm.
with him will I speak mouth to mouth.
Go ahead.
Even apparently,
Mhm.
and not in dark speeches.
Mhm.
And the similitude of the Lord shall he behold.
Mhm.
Wherefore then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?
So they say, okay, so I deal with Moses different. He says, so basically you're telling me you weren't afraid to speak against Moses? Go ahead, read on. Go ahead, read.
Verse 9, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against them,
Mhm.
and he departed.
Go ahead.
Verse 10, and the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leopardess, white as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leopard.
So that means she was white. She was pitched. She was basically white. So it's leopard. Leopard is so really, that means she was cursed, basically. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 11, and Aaron said unto Moses, Alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly.
So what is he doing? He's repenting. He said, Lord, he's got some godly sorrow. We have sinned. Read on. Go ahead, read.
And wherein we have sinned.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 12.
Go ahead.
Let her not be as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed when he cometh out of his mother's womb.
Go ahead.
Verse 13. And Moses cried unto the Lord, saying, Hear her now, O God, I beseech thee.
Go ahead.
Verse 14. And the Lord said unto Moses, if her father had but spit in her face, should she not be ashamed 7 days? Let her be shut out from the camp 7 days, and after that let her receive it in again.
So the thing about it was she was shut out of the camp 7 days. So that means she was shut out of the congregation 7 days because she sinned, and really Aaron and them sinned, but they repented quickly. But she had to get the judgment as well. So a lot of people have to understand the Lord still gave her mercy because he could have put her to death. He could have put her to death for that. But the fact where I'm going with this, y'all, is the camp. The term camp really dealing with the Israelites, dealing with our congregation, which is what? A unit of people. So at this time, we had our camp. We had our people together. And during this time also, the 12 tribes were together at this time too. Okay? Keep that in mind. Say Numbers chapter 15, verse 32. Because our people have to wake up, because right now, as y'all do know, we talked about it last night about the World War III is on the horizon. Right now, they're not playing games. NATO on Russia, it's getting kind of crazy. We don't have time for any games, okay? We have to galvanize the 12 tribes of Israel. I want that Numbers chapter 15, verse 32, brother. Go ahead.
Numbers chapter 15, verse 32.
Go ahead.
And while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man that gathered sticks upon the Sabbath day.
So here's the thing. In the wilderness, so get prepared for Tabernacles coming up. It's coming up pretty soon, okay? So get your spirit right. Get prepared. Because as you do know, you have to make sure we get our spirits right to keep these feast days. Go ahead, read.
Verse 33. And they that found him gathering sticks brought him unto Moses and Aaron, and unto all the congregation.
So now they brought him to the congregation for judgment. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 34. And they put him inward, because it was not declared what should be done to him.
They put him in ward. Ward would be like being in a holding cell today. You know when you go to jail, they put you in a holding cell. They put him in ward to decide what judgment, because they had to inquire of the Lord to find out what is the judgment for this man picking up sticks on the Lord's Sabbath day. Read.
Verse 35. And the Lord said unto Moses, the man shall be surely put to death. All the congregation shall stone him with stones without the camp.
Can anyone tell me why was this man being put to death? Can you tell me why? Why was he put to death? Let's find out who's thinking here. Because it says, after the Lord, they inquired of the Lord. Okay, and the Lord said unto Moses, the man shall be surely put to death. All the congregation shall stone him with the stones without the camp. So can anyone tell me why was this man being put to death? Because of what he's done. Why? Why is he being put to death? Can anyone tell me? Give me your, let's find out who's thinking here. Why would this man get put to death for that? Why? Let's see who's thinking. Let's think about it for a minute. Let's find out. Let's think. Why would this man be put to death?
He said, gathering sticks to cook.
Gathering sticks to cook?
That's what Michael said.
Okay. That sounds pretty good. How do we know that? Give me Exodus chapter 35, verse 3. Because remember something. It wasn't just picking up the sticks. His intent behind picking up those sticks, because the Sabbath day is holy. We do know that, right? And you're correct, brother, because at this time he wasn't just picking up sticks just to pick them up. He was picking them up for this reason. The book of Exodus chapter 35 verse 3. Exodus chapter 35 verse 3.
Exodus chapter 35 verse 3.
Go ahead.
Ye shall kindle no fire throughout your inhabitations upon the Sabbath day.
Now, the difference would be, brothers and sisters, if it's cold outside on the Sabbath day, you have to stay warm. So kindle fire does not mean you cannot burn something on the Lord's Sabbath day, okay? Now, people got to understand that, okay? But if it's to cook, because they burn incense on the Sabbath days, you can kindle fire that way. But the fact of the matter is, this man, his intent behind gathering those sticks was to cook. Go back to Numbers chapter 15. Where you at?
Yeah, it makes no sense. It's cold and snowing outside. The Lord don't want you to kindle a fire to get warm. That don't make sense. You got to put your mind into it.
Right.
It's about cooking on the Sabbath day.
Right. You don't mean you just can't kindle a fire. People talk about that all the time, but the bottom line is your intent behind that. Is your intent, okay? Go ahead, read on.
Numbers, go back to Numbers.
Numbers chapter 15, I'm on 36, yeah.
Numbers chapter 15, verse 36. And all the congregation brought him without the camp and stoned him with stones, and he died, as the Lord commanded Moses.
So they brought him without the camp, which is the congregation of the Israelites, to stone him because he broke the Sabbath day, and his intent was to break the Sabbath day. His intent wasn't to stay warm. His intent was to go against the commandments, because his intent was what the Most High put him to death for, because he had evil intentions. So that's why you got to be mindful. When the Lord does certain things, He's going to look at your intent. If your intent was to break the commandments, he could put you to death. Okay, go ahead, read on.
Verse 37, And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments.
Go ahead.
Throughout their generations, and that they put upon the fringe the borders of a ribbon of blue.
So and we just dealing with fringes. Y'all should know that by now. They got fringes as a border of blue. That's why we wear fringes, because it is a law, and it's the reason why. Go ahead, read.
Verse 39, and it shall be unto you for a friend, that you may look upon it and remember all the commandments of the Lord, and do them, and that ye seek not after your own heart and your own eyes, after which ye used to go a-whoring.
Because this is the inception of what we call the fringe law. So he let us be known that we had to wear fringes throughout our generations, even from that time of his inception, even up to today. Why? Because it's going to help us remember the commandments. Not saying the Spirit of Christ should help you remember the commandments, but it symbolizes something. Keep on reading. Go ahead, read.
Verse 40.
Yes.
That ye may remember and do all my commandments and be holy unto your God. Verse 41. I am the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord your God.
You know what's sad? A lot of people have a hard time wearing fringes. And to me, that's the basis of the basics. So how are anyone able to identify you as an Israelite? That's another thing too. You see, so when you think about wearing the fringes, it's for a reason. But it's a spirit behind wearing fringes. The Spirit of Christ should be on, because Christ wore fringes. What do you think the hem of his garment was? It was fringes. But it's getting back to the camp again. The camp is the most important thing. Go ahead, read on.
Well, I was going to mention that.
Yeah.
I was at the city building, and I go into the city building, and of course they got to frisk you and go through the metal detector. And the cop said, he told this other cop, he said, you know who this is? The man said, I don't know who this is. He said, you got to know who he is. He said, I don't know who he is. He whispered in my ear. He said, I know you're an Israelite because I see your fringes. Okay, where's your fringes at? Oh, I don't have them. But as long as I know where I'm from. Oh, really? How do I know where you from? I don't know who you are. I don't see your fringes. Yeah. Why you didn't pull your fringes out and say, I'm a fellow brother? But you try to escape this law of wearing fringes and say, well, I know who I am, so I'm good. Well, we'll see on that last day when you don't have on your fringes, who you going to call? Who you going to go to? You going to just say, oh, because I know who I am, I'm good? Nah, that's not how it works.
So you said, I'm going to Zephaniah 1:8. Because when Christ cracked that sky and he find you in strange apparel, that's a problem. And it goes twofold, too, because that's even for if you're cross-dressing, brothers, that's strange apparel to the Most High. Sisters, if you wearing pants, you doing strange apparel, that goes that way, too.
If a brother is wearing a dress, it's beyond strange apparel, bro.
It's strange. It's strange.
It's a little bit beyond
it's
strange
an abomination, but I'm just saying strange. It's strange to see a man, this day and time, it probably ain't strange.
It's not. Well, yeah, this day, you've seen it so much, but
yeah.
You better go sit down.
You get desensitized. Zephaniah 1:8.
Zephaniah chapter 1, verse 8. And it shall come to pass in the day of the Lord's sacrifice.
The day of the Lord's sacrifice, y'all, is when he's going to crack that sky, okay? The day of the Lord's sacrifice. Read on.
That I will punish the princes and the king's children
Uh-huh.
and all such as are clothed with strange apparel.
Strange apparel. So if you're not wearing your fringes because you choose not to wear them, that's a problem. Because that's going to be strange to the Most High in Christ. Because you were instructed as an Israelite to wear your fringes. As simple as that. That's what the scriptures say. So it is what it is. But let's get to the point. Let's go to Romans chapter 13, verse 11. Because we have to wake up, y'all. Right now, we are closer to World War III than we ever have been. Like I told you, I think I might have said it last night. We're closest than the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, when Russia had put their nuclear warheads over in Cuba. That was the closest time in American history that we came to World War III at that time. Right now, they're saying we are closer than that. Doomsday clock is almost at midnight right now. So, I want that Romans 13 and verse 11, brother.
Romans chapter 13, verse 11.
Go ahead.
And that, knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep.
It's time to wake up. It's time for us to start putting the pedal to the metal, pushing this truth to the four corners of the earth. Other people are doing it. We have to keep on pushing too, because we all have a part to play. You have to wake our people up from deep sleep. Deep sleep is politics, religion. All these things our people are in the detrimental to their life. Go ahead, read on.
For now it is our is our salvation nearer than when we believe.
Like we said, we're closer to World War III than it ever was. So our salvation is closer than years past. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 12. The night is far spent.
Uh-huh.
The day is at hand.
Mm-hmm.
Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness.
Cast off the works of sin. Cast off the works of darkness. Because right now we're in darkness. As a people, we dark in sin, and we darkness because we in religion, we in politics. All these things, we enter this darkness. Go ahead, read on.
And let us put on the armor of light.
The armor, y'all should know what the light is. We went to Proverbs 6 and 23. It shows you the light is a commandment. But when you cover them with Christ, you have to put on that armor of light. Read on. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 13, let us walk honestly as in the day,
Mm-hmm.
not in rioting and drunkenness.
Go ahead.
Not in chambering and wantonness,
Uh-huh.
not in strife and envy.
We have to walk honestly in this ministry. We cannot play games with it, take it very seriously. Read on.
Verse 14, but put ye on the Lord Jesus Christ and make not provision for the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof.
So we have to get rid of that lust because right now we're closer to the day of the Lord. We're closer right now. I'm telling you, we did it last night about the princes. So right now they're getting serious with the different nations, and they are preparing for World War III as we speak. From there, Amos chapter 5, verse 18. Amos chapter 5, verse 18, because right now, the day of the Lord is at hand. Okay, right now, we're in a spiritual war. The world hates what we're doing. They want to keep you asleep. That's their job. But we have to keep everything alive. We have to keep the zeal going. We have to keep pushing these classes, keep hitting the streets, keep doing the work, pushing this gospel to the four corners of the earth, keep pushing the true gospel. So Amos chapter 5, verse 18, brother. Amos chapter 5, verse 18 is what I want.
Amos chapter 5, verse 18. Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord.
So when it says woe unto you, that means the death and destruction to you that desire the day of the Lord. Because here's the thing. If you're not right with the Most High God, you ain't wearing your fringes, you're not doing what you're supposed to do, it says woe to you, because if you desire the day of the Lord, you better make sure you're right. I can't keep saying I want the day of the Lord, and I'm not right. He said, so what does it say? Read it again, what the Bible say?
Verse 18, woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord.
Go ahead.
To what end is it for you?
What end is it for you? Because if you're not following the commandments of the faith of Christ, your end going to be destruction. Go ahead, read on.
The day of the Lord is darkness and not light.
Darkness. The day of the Lord is darkness and not light. I don't think a movie can duplicate what's going to come to the earth. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 19, as if a man did flee from the lion, and the bear met him.
So now it's letting it be known. So it's like the judgment is set. Is if you flee for one savage beast, then another savage beast meets you. It's not nothing nice. Read on.
Or went into a house and leaned his hand on the wall, and a serpent bit him.
So you escape those beasts, but then a serpent, you put your hands on the wall, a serpent bit you. What that means is when your judgment is set on the day of the Lord, it's going to happen to you if you don't keep commandments. Simple. Did I read on?
Verse 20. Shall not the day of the Lord be darkness and not light, even very dark, and no brightness in it?
There's no brightness in it. So right now it's time for us to wake up for the camp. The Lord's camp is being prepared right now. That's why we go to camp. We go out and teach the word of God, to spread this glorious gospel. Okay, because we know we have to wake up the Lord's camp. The Lord's camp had to be woken up. We don't have time to be playing any games, everybody. The time is at hand to get ourselves together because this is the last captivity. This is it. From here, Joel chapter 1, verse 15. Because you know something, it's very important to understand what we're doing. Like we said last night, listen, we are representatives of Christ, ambassadors. So we have to get ourselves together because when Christ cracked that sky, y'all, if you're not right, we will be in trouble. Joel chapter 1, verse 15, brother. The book of Joel, or Joel, chapter 1 and verse 15.
Joel, chapter 1, verse 15. Alas, for the day of the Lord is at hand.
Alas really means Mayday. If y'all didn't know that, alas means Mayday. It says, what does it say? It says, well, alas what?
Alas, for the day of the Lord is at hand.
So alas for the day of the Lord is at hand. They're saying, like, Putin is basically saying, he's basically saying that what NATO has done with the weaponry, they saying if they utilize their arsenal against Russia, they look at it as aggression to kick off World War III. So right now, as we speak, they are, while we're worried about the election, they're sitting there preparing for World War III. And a lot of us are playing too many doggone games. They get serious because right now the night is far spent. The day is at hand. What the Bible said, what does Joel say?
Alas, for the day of the Lord is at hand. As a destruction from the Almighty shall it come.
Shall it come. So as the destruction from the Almighty shall come. So as we talked about the 12 princes last night, and how Iran, the Khameneians, are positioning themselves to get nukes. As you do know, we have sleeper cells called the caterpillars. We're going to deal with that. Talk about the caterpillars, about how they're going to transform. What's going to happen, prophecies have to be fulfilled. Is that it for that? Okay, go to 2nd Ezra, chapter 9, verse 1. Because now time is ticking. Like I told you about the doomsday clock, that doomsday clock, what they're doing with that doomsday clock, they're symbolizing, or they're basically predicting that once that clock hits 12, that's when the worldwide, Yeah, you can put it up there. The picture of the doomsday clock, yeah. Because look at this doomsday clock. Matter of fact, do they have like a little do they have a little clip on the doomsday clock? Yeah. Put a little clip up there right for the people. Let's find out. The doomsday clock is something that they keep talking about even in the news. Okay, and we're going to deal with the time and chance because right now they said the clock is almost at 12. And they said when that clock hits 12, 90 seconds to midnight? Is that what they're saying? They have a little clip on it? Yeah, put that clip up for them. Let me show y'all what they're saying. Because these scientists, they came up with this doomsday clock in 1947 after World War II, right? So the doomsday clock is supposed to factor in natural disasters, wars, all kinds of stuff that factor in the doomsday. They call it doomsday clock. And it's something to pay attention to because we know prophecies have to be fulfilled to understand that. But as we do know, the elite knows what's coming to the earth. They know, huh? Yeah, go ahead, play it. Yeah, play it.
continue with unabated ferocity and continue to shape this year. Today, we once again set the doomsday clock to express a continuing and unprecedented level of risk. It is 90 seconds to midnight.
When we set the clock last year, there were major concerns that nuclear weapons could be used in Ukraine. And today's clock setting was still overshadowed by the war in Ukraine, but also the war in Gaza, which has caused enormous human suffering and could lead to a broader conflict. Many weapon states are currently pursuing extensive modernization and expansion programs that will really, for the first time since the end of the Cold War, and essentially providing the infrastructure that could last until 2100. There's now talk in Washington that the U.S. nuclear arsenal will have to increase also in order to match the arsenals of Russia and China combined. So in many ways, we're setting ourselves up for a three-way arms race, which is unprecedented and quite concerning. So the picture is quite bleak on the nuclear side this year.
AI has lots of potential for magnifying corruption in the information environment and making the disinformation problem worse. And that's really bad because the threat multiplier effect means that we're not going to be able to solve other hard problems like nuclear war and climate change. And so that's really tough. I have to note that any physical threat to existence from AI has to come because somebody chose to hook AI up to the physical world.
So what they're showing you is they give you all the components of the doomsday clock. And she said it was 90 seconds away from what we call world annihilation. Okay? Give me 2nd Ezra, chapter 9, verse 1. Because the most important thing, y'all, is just keep in mind, keep your mind on what's going on. You see all the components. You see they position. That was 7 months ago, by the way. That video was 7 months ago. Okay? They show you how things still going on today that coincides with the scriptures. 2nd Ezra, chapter 9, verse 1.
2nd Ezra, chapter 9, verse 1.
Go ahead.
He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself.
Measure thou the time diligently in itself, because the time is at hand to wake up and stop these games. I'm telling y'all right now, Christ cracked that sky, we going to be in trouble if we ain't right. Because when World War III happens, y'all, this ain't nothing to play with. It's going to be something we never seen before. Those nukes that they got is 100 times worse than Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So when that thing hit this earth, oh my goodness, I pray we all got it right. What the Bible said, what the Bible said, read.
And when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before.
You see the sign, you see the signs. Wars, rumors of wars. Nations rise against nation. You're seeing it right now as we speak. Prophecies is right before your eyes right now. Verse 2, read.
Verse 2, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made.
Because it's happening right now. He's visiting the earth. Strong natural disasters, earthquakes, uproars of the people, all these things is prophecy. We have to measure out the time diligently. You know, push this truth, push this gospel. Because at the end of the day, y'all, when the sky cracks, it's over. Grace is over with. We in grace right now to get it together, but we have to get it. We have to keep on pushing, because when Christ cracked that sky, y'all, it's something we've never seen before. I'm telling you. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1. Because what's scary about this, y'all, is we have to gather the camp, the Lord's camp, through the Spirit of Christ. That's why we had to galvanize the 12 tribes of Israel, because the Lord has a camp. Okay, we have to get ourselves together on. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1. 2 Timothy chapter 3, instead of verse 1.
2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1.
Go ahead.
This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come.
So in the last days, perilous times is dangerous times. You see school shootings every week, it seems. There's a threat of World War III every day you hear on the news is always something. We're in dangerous times, everybody. We have to get, when I tell you we don't have time for games or camp bashing, whatever you want to call it, we ain't got time for that. We ain't got time for people telling people, don't be around the camp. Listen, the Lord has a camp. We're going to prove that point. So you got to make sure you're right to be drafted into the Most High's camp, to his army. Because that's what we're fighting for. The 144,000, you better believe that. We're fighting for that slot. So right now, we got to galvanize the 12 tribes of Israel to get it right, because we got to get out of here, y'all. Because this is going to burn up. This is going to burn up. Okay, I hope y'all understand. This is going to burn. The question is, will you be here when it burns? So we ain't got time for these little games on Facebook doing stupid. Look, we got to get to the streets. We have to push this truth to the four corners of the earth. Because this ain't nothing to play with. This is serious. The days of Noah were, so should the coming Son of Man shall be. From there, go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 13, verse 9. Isaiah, chapter 13, verse 9. That's what I want. The book of Isaiah, chapter 13 and verse 9. Because this is serious business, everybody. Serious.
Isaiah chapter 13, verse 9.
Go ahead.
Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, cruel, both wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate. And he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it.
He's going to destroy the sinners? Are you sure about that? Because last I checked, it said shall. It's future tense. Second Ezra, chapter 15 and verse 22. Or maybe 23. I want you to read that 22. Read it.
23, right?
Yeah, 23 is what I want. Yeah.
Second Ezra chapter 15, verse 23.
Yes.
The fire is gone forth from his wrath.
So the fire is going forth with his wrath. Remember it said even in Isaiah 30, his wrath is cruel. He has wrath and cruel anger. He can destroy the sinners. So what is a sinner? Someone that transgressed the law. So evidently you have to keep the commandments, and wearing fringes is a commandment. So if you're going to break the commandments and wear fringes in that faithful day, you think, I don't think the Lord going to do something to me if I wear fringes. You sure about that? Go ahead, read.
The fire is gone forth from his wrath
and
has consumed the foundations of the earth.
That's thermonuclear destruction. Ezra is speaking in future tense. He's seeing this in the vision. Read on.
And the sinners, like the straw that is kindled. Verse 24, woe to them that sin.
Woe and death and destruction to them that sin. Go ahead, read on.
And keep not my commandments.
And keep not my commandments. You see why they took this out of the Bible? Because Pastor Money would be like, well, you know, we do know this contradicts that nonsense. That's why they took this out the Bible and said unauthoritative. Under who? All scripture is inspiration of God. Go ahead, read on. Read, brother, read.
Saith the Lord.
Saith the Lord. Go ahead.
Verse 25, I will not spare them.
He will not spare you. Read on.
Go your way, ye children, from the power. Defile not my sanctuary.
Go ahead.
Verse 26, for the Lord knoweth all them that sin against him.
He knoweth all them that sin against him. Read on, read.
And therefore delivered he them unto death and destruction.
Death and destruction. Read on, brother.
Verse 27, for now are the plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them. For God shall not deliver you, because ye have sinned against him.
Because you sin against him. Go back to Isaiah chapter 13, verse 9 again, brother. We listen, we don't have time, y'all. He's going to destroy the sinners. So we have to keep the commandments the best of our ability, apply them the best of our ability, because when the Lord's sacrifice come, he's not playing no games with none of us. Go ahead, read on. Go ahead, read.
Verse 9, behold, the day of the Lord cometh cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger.
Go ahead.
To lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it.
He could destroy the sinners out of it. Read on. Read, brother. Read.
Verse 10, for the stars of heaven and the constellation thereof shall not give their light.
Because what's going to happen, the angels and the angelical ships going to be so powerful, they're going to block out the sun, literally. They're going to block out the sun. If you don't believe me, get in the book of Psalms, chapter 68, verse 17. Hold that. Because the chariots are going to block off the sun. When Christ cracked that sky, and it's also going to knock out, when it's also the sun too, it means also this man's technology. His wisdom going to get shut down. So it's twofold. So it's either dealing with the actual sun itself, and also going to knock out his satellite systems and everything he has technology-wise. Because really, when you get talking about the sun and moon, it represents wisdom.
And they show it in Independence Day.
Exactly. This is what they're going to show you. Psalms chapter 68, verse 17.
Psalm chapter 68, verse 17. The chariots of God are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Lord is among them, as in Sinai, in the holy place.
So, thousands upon thousands of chariots. Go back to where we're at in Isaiah, brother. Thousands and thousands of chariots going to fill the sky on that day of the Lord. The question is, will you be on one of them? Right. That's the question. Go ahead, read.
Isaiah chapter 13, verse 10. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give off their light.
Go ahead.
The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine.
Go ahead.
Verse 11. And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease.
Go ahead.
And will lay low a haughtiness of the terrible.
So it's letting it be known, he's saying he's going to come and bring destruction. That's why we have to get ourselves together, because the Lord's camp is great. It can be something we've never seen before. A movie can't duplicate this, I promise you. Because it's going to be to the point, everyone, that we're going to be scared as believers. Even though we know it's coming, it's going to scare us. We're going to be like, we think we're going to die. That's how devastating destruction is going to be. I'm telling you, it's going to be something we've never seen. That's why we have to get ourselves together. From there, give me the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 6. Christ says this, everybody. Because you have to go back to Christ. Christ prophesied what's going to happen. And that's why it's very important for us as believers to take heed of what he's saying and get ourselves right. Because I'm telling you, every day we wake up in the morning, we don't know it could be our last day on earth. We don't know that for sure. He says he's going to come as a thief at night. Matthew chapter 24, verse 6, what I want.
Matthew chapter 24, verse 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars.
Don't we hear that today? Like we just discussed, we got Ukraine, we got different wars, Iran. Those are rumors of wars. They're coming. Okay, they're coming together. Go ahead, read on.
See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet.
It's just starting. So Christ says, just basically, don't be troubled, because it's prophecy. It's going to have to come to pass. It's happening as we speak. Read on, read.
Verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation.
You see that today. Nation is different nationalities of people rising up. The uproars of the people. Go ahead, read on.
And kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilence.
Stop. You think that's a joke? Give me the book of go to 2 Ezra again. I'm going to touch something right quick. I'm going to touch something that we didn't touch in a minute. Go to 2 Ezra chapter 15. You see this stuff is going on right now as we speak. These things are happening before our eyes. Give me 2 Ezra chapter, I want to say 15. Start at verse 4. 2 Ezra in the Apocrypha, chapter 15, verse 4. I'm going to show you something that's happening right as we speak. It's prophecy.
2 Ezra chapter 15, verse 4.
Go ahead.
For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness.
You see that today. This unfaithful going to die in the unfaithfulness in what? In the commandments. Read on.
Verse 5. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world.
You see that now? The plagues, different strands of flu, all these different things that happen with the food. People are dying of listeria. All these things are happening, bringing plagues upon the earth. Go ahead, read on.
The sword, famine, death.
Famine, food shortages. The economy is trash right now. People are dying. Okay, read on.
Death and destruction.
Uh-huh.
Verse 6. For wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth.
The whole earth is polluted with wickedness. Every time they turn around, they find new ways to do evil. The whole world is polluted with wickedness. Read on.
And their hurtful works are fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 7.
Go ahead.
Therefore saith the Lord,
Uh-huh.
Verse 8. I will hold my tongue no more.
I will hold my tongue no more. He bringing judgment upon the earth. Read on. Go ahead.
As touching their wickedness,
Uh-huh.
which they profanely commit.
Go ahead.
Neither will I suffer them in those things.
He said, I will not suffer, which means he will not allow you in these things. The sins almost reached to heaven right now. Go ahead, read on.
In which they wickedly exercise themselves.
Go ahead.
Behold, the innocent and righteous blood cried unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually.
You better believe they do. Lord, when are you going to avenge our blood? The martyrs, the ones that have died unjustly, they continually saying, Lord, when are you going to judge this place? Go ahead, read on.
Verse 9, and therefore saith the Lord, I will surely avenge them.
He's going to avenge them. Just stay strong, people. He will avenge them. Read on.
And receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them.
Go ahead.
Verse 10, behold, my people are led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt.
Go ahead.
Verse 11, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof.
This is spiritual Egypt. This isn't ancient Egypt. This is the new Egypt what we have right now, because right now we're in spiritual Egypt right now. How do I know that? Hold that. Revelation chapter 11 verse 8. Come back to this, brother.
Well, when we was reading, it says as before.
As before.
So if it was talking about Egypt, it wouldn't have said as before.
Exactly. Matter of fact, you don't even go there yet, because we're going to go there later on. See, let's stick to this. Okay, I'm going to go to that later on. Let's stick to this. Since you said that, go ahead, read on.
It said that in the scripture.
I know, but that's why I said right.
Don't worry about it.
That.
Don't worry about
yeah,
it. Verse
yeah.
12.
Uh-huh.
Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plagues and punishment that God shall bring upon it.
Go ahead.
Verse 13. That they that till the ground shall mourn, and for the seeds shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with a fearful constellation.
A fearful constellation. It's very fearful right now. Very fearful. Like I brought out in Job the other night about terror should be on every side. These things are happening as we speak. Read on, read.
Verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein.
It says, woe to the world, to them that dwell therein. It means death and destruction to the world that dwell. Why? Because these things are coming to the earth. Go ahead, read on, read.
Verse 15. For the sword and their destruction draw it nigh.
So the sword and destruction, judgment is nigh. The day of the Lord is nigh, is near. Go ahead, read on, read.
And one people shall stand up to fight against another.
Don't we see that now? The people that are fighting is an uproar of the people. Go ahead, read on.
And swords in their hands.
Go ahead.
Verse 16. For, there shall be seditions among men.
Sedition is uprisings, insurrections. These things going to continue to keep happening. Read on.
And invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. And the course of their actions shall stand in their power.
In power. Read on. Read.
Verse 17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able.
That's going to happen. This future is a man going to desire to go into a city. Why? Because the uproars are going to happen. It says shall. It hadn't happened yet. Okay, it's happening. As we speak, it's setting up right now. Read on.
Verse 18. For because their pride, the cities shall be troubled. The houses shall be destroyed. And men shall be afraid.
Men are afraid now. The houses shall be destroyed. They're afraid. They don't know what's going to happen. Because right now, famine hidden. Economy is trash. All these things that have people being homeless. These things are happening as we speak. Go ahead, read on, read.
Verse 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor.
The man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. The love of many shall wax cold. It's happening as we speak. Go ahead, read on, read, brother, read.
But shall destroy their houses.
This should destroy. It's happening. Read on.
With the sword. And spoil their goods.
And still, people got home invasions right now. People going to people's houses because of lack of bread, money. People are struggling. This is future tense. Read on what the Bible said. Read.
Because of the lack of bread
Uh-huh.
and for great tribulation.
The lack of bread and great tribulation. These things happen as we speak right now. The Lord is setting the stage. This is the end of time. Go ahead, read on. Read.
Verse 20.
Uh-huh.
Behold, said God,
Go ahead.
I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me.
Go ahead.
Which are from the rising of the sun,
Uh-huh.
from the south,
Mhm.
from the east,
Uh-huh.
and Lebanus,
Uh-huh.
to turn themselves one against another,
Uh-huh.
and repay the things that they have done to them.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 21. Like as they do yet this day unto my chosen.
As they do this day to my chosen, which happen to be you so-called blacks, you so-called Hispanics, and Native Americans calling to our fathers, you the Lord's God, you the Lord that God's chosen. Read on, read.
So will I do also, and recompense in their bosom. Thus saith the Lord God.
So go back to Matthew. No, give me Genesis now. No, go back to Matthew 24 and verse 7.
Matthew chapter 24, verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation,
Uh-huh.
and kingdom against kingdom.
You see that now, the same way we did in 2nd Esdras. A man should be desired to go to a city and won't be able to. These things are happening as we speak. Go ahead, read on, read.
And there shall be famines and pestilence,
Then we just discussed that lack of bread, famine, and pestilence diseases. Go ahead, read on.
and earthquakes in diverse
In
places.
different places, read on.
Verse 8.
Uh-huh.
All these are the beginning of sorrow.
All these are the beginning of sorrows. From there, Genesis chapter 19, verse 24. Because right now, we are reliving history. That's why it's important for us to learn from history, to get ourselves right with the Most High in Christ, because I'm going to tell you, when destruction comes, y'all, it won't be nothing nice. Okay, I want that,
Genesis chapter 19, verse 24. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven.
Now, here's the deal. The same way destruction happened in Sodom and Gomorrah going to happen here. He rained fire. Because during that time, Sodom and Gomorrah was pushing all kinds of wickedness, homosexuality. This place supports that. In fact, we played the video last week. That was the one, the mark of the beast. Right. To push that nonsense to other people. That's the mark of the beast right there. Because you're pushing sin. You know, that's why Sodom and Gomorrah had fire rain down on them. Go ahead, read on. 24.
Okay, verse 24.
Yeah.
Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven.
Go ahead.
Verse 25.
Uh-huh.
And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the city and that which grew upon the ground.
So now he destroyed that city, those cities, Sodom and Gomorrah. Matter of fact, they got historical facts right now over in Sodom and Gomorrah. They show the destruction that really happened. So for some of you naysayers that say the Bible is a comic book or just a fairy tale, Sodom and Gomorrah really existed and it really got burnt up for real. It really happened. Go ahead, read. Next verse.
Verse 26. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt.
So why? Because she wanted the world. That's why. She wanted to go back. Because the angel told her to not look back, but she chose to look back because she really wanted to go back into that daggone world. Okay? But how do we know that? Revelation chapter 11, verse 8. We talked about that earlier because here's the deal. This place is the same thing it was back in ancient times. Because right now what's happening, let's take this election coming up, right? Look at what policies can you name that goes with the commandments? You won't find none. It goes against the commandments, right? This is one thing. Revelation chapter 11, verse 8.
Revelation chapter 11, verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified.
When it says where our Lord was crucified, it means his image was crucified. Because what they've done, they changed Christ's image from being a so-called black man to being a so-called white man. His name is Caesar Borgia. That's what it means by our Lord was crucified, because here they push the white image of Jesus in the movies all over the place. They push it, but yet they keep claiming color don't matter. But for some reason, they crucify his visage. His visage really is a counterfeit called Caesar Borgia. That's what it's about. So it's all. So basically, what it's showing you is Sodom and Gomorrah, this place is spiritually Sodom. Why? Could have policies to protect that type of lifestyle. It's called, and in Sodom is also Egypt, because what this place was the house of bondage, and they actually take on the Egyptian customs, because we are the original Israelites as well. From there, go to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 31. 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 31 is what I want. Because what people don't recognize, y'all, is this is it. This is it. This is the last captivity. We don't have time. For the Lord's camp is great. We're trying to fight to get to that Lord's camp. I'm telling you, that's the most important thing. We're fighting for that slot. Okay? So with the 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 31.
1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 31.
Go ahead.
They that use this world, not as abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away.
That's what's happening. They're abusing this world, where there's pollution, doing things going against God, doing things that's against the Most High. This world's been abused by so-called mankind, they want to call it, if you want to call it that. But who's ruling? So really, who's really rule? Who really controls all that? Read on.
Verse 32.
Uh-huh.
But I would have you without carefulness.
Now, I just want that verse 31, just to show you the fact of the matter is they did this. But 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 1. 2 Peter chapter 3 and 3. 2 Peter 3 and 3. Because right now, as believers in Christ, as Israelites, we have to get ourselves girded up, everybody. Because these things are happening. It's prophecy that's being fulfilled. Certain things have to take place. Christ is coming back, whether we're ready or not. Make sure we get ourselves right. So 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 3.
2 Peter chapter 3 verse 3. Knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lust.
You see that today. Scoffers, they don't believe in the Most High. They don't believe this Bible. They believe all kinds of different ideologies. Read on.
Verse 4. And saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation.
Because people think, give me Ecclesiastes 8 and 11. This is what they think. They said because since the fathers fell asleep, since the prophets died, they've been saying for thousands of years Christ coming back. It ain't happened yet. They think because judgment hasn't been executed speedily, they think they have a license to sin. Behold that. I want that book of Ecclesiastes 8 and 11. They think because things ain't happened yet, they think it ain't going to come. It's not going to come to pass. You're sadly mistaken, people. He's giving us grace and mercy to get ourselves right. Okay? Give it to me, brother. Go ahead, read.
Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 11.
Go ahead.
Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily.
Uh-huh.
Therefore, the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil.
So they'll go back because they think because it ain't happened yet. It ain't happened yet. They think because it didn't happen speedily. The reason it hasn't happened because that last Israelite had to be sealed. That's why. Otherwise, this place would have been destroyed. Because a sentence against the ungodly is executed speedily. Go back to where we're at in 2 Peter 3 and verse 4. Oh, you had something?
2 Peter chapter 3 verse 4. And saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation.
Go ahead, brother.
Verse 5. For this they willingly are ignorant of, that by the word of God the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water.
What that's saying is the flood they said what happened was judgment the first time was the flood during the time of Noah. So he's saying at the same time you've been ignorant, not knowing what's coming. They were ignorant back then until that flood hit. The same way today they're ignorant today till that thermonuclear destruction hit. Go ahead, read.
Verse 6, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished.
Go ahead.
Verse 7, but the heavens and the earth, which are now by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men.
Go ahead, read on, brother. Read.
Verse 8,
Uh-huh.
but beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day.
Go ahead. Exactly.
Verse 9, the Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness, but is long-suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance.
That's why we under grace, because he want us all to come to repentance. Like I told you, y'all, when Christ cracked that sky, y'all, grace and mercy is over with. Judgment going to start hitting us. So we have to get ourselves together, because at the end of the day, for the Lord's camp is great. Go ahead, read on. Go ahead, read.
Verse 10, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and with elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up.
Be burned up. So that's what's happening. The same way during the time of Noah, what Christ says from there. Give me Matthew chapter 24, verse 36 now. Because the same way, remember something, during the time of Noah, people joked around. They thought it was a joke. Until when that flood came and judgment came, then people said, oh, help us. But right now, we have mercy and grace and long suffering of the Most High to get ourselves right. Matthew chapter 24, verse 36.
Matthew chapter 24, verse 36. But of that day and hour knoweth no man.
Uh-huh.
No, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. Verse
Well, the same. Go ahead, keep going. Yes.
verse 37.
Yes, sir.
But as the days of Noah were, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be.
We just read about the water when it came. The same way it was in Noah time when he was preaching for 100 years, telling other people to get ourselves right. They joked. They thought it was a joke until when that flood came and things changed. That's why Christ said it. Read on. Go read.
Verse 38. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark. Verse 39.
Now so when Noah entered into the ark, that was over. When he entered into the ark, it was over. Judgment came. Same way today. We sitting there playing games, and when judgment hit, it could be too late then. That's why it's important for us as repentant Israelites to stay straight and narrow in these commandments. Because when the Lord's camp gets assembled, y'all, gonna be something nice. It ain't gonna be nothing nice. When the Lord's camp gets assembled, it's not gonna be nothing nice. I promise you. That's why we have to get ourselves together. From there, give me the book of Isaiah, chapter 9, verse 5. Because the Lord's camp is great. It's coming. It's getting set up as we speak. You got various brothers go out there and teaching the word. So the Lord is setting things up his way. Isaiah chapter 9, verse 5 is what I want.
Isaiah chapter 9, verse 5. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise.
Every battle of the warrior is with confused noise. The confused noise is always going to happen during the battle of the warrior. But this confused noise then will come with thermonuclear destruction. It's coming. Go ahead, read on.
And garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire.
You see the difference? Burning and fuel the fire. Thermonuclear destruction is coming. We just told you Iran, the Khomenians, are getting their act together with the 12 princes of Ishmael. They're coming together. They're going to get things together. And they're going to bring thermonuclear destruction. From there, Isaiah chapter 66 and verse 15. Because they set the stage as we speak in what we call the Middle East. Isaiah chapter 66 verse 15.
Isaiah chapter 66 verse 15.
Go
For
ahead.
behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind.
So the chariots he's coming with, like we talked about before, with, in the book of Psalm 68 verse 17, it said the Lord will come with fire and chariots like a whirlwind. So some of y'all know what the chariots, y'all should know. Psalms 104 verse 3 is the chariots. I'm not gonna go to it, but write it down for your precept to know what the chariots are. The chariots are angelical ships. If y'all didn't know that, you start to see more chariot sightings than a little bit. You start to see more and more. What does the Bible say? Go back to Isaiah. Yes, sir.
Isaiah chapter 66 verse 15.
Go ahead.
For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind.
Go ahead.
To render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire.
With flames of fire. During World War III, Christ gonna crack that sky, and judgment day will be here. Read on.
Verse 16, for by fire and by his sword would the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many.
And the slain of the Lord shall be many. Judges chapter 5 verse 11. Because keep in mind, Russia got nukes. This country has nukes. China has nukes. Iran trying to prepare for nukes. This is what's going to have to happen. It's future prophecy. Judges chapter 5 verse 11. Judges chapter 5 verse 11, brother. I don't think people know what's coming to the earth. This is serious business. This is very serious. The Lord is not playing. He's gathering the camp, the Lord's camp, as we speak. Okay? Judges chapter 5 verse 11, brother.
Judges chapter 5 verse 11. They that are delivered from the noise of archers.
So when you shoot an actual bow and arrow, do you hear any noise? You won't hear it. This is what is noise of archers. What do you call a nuclear warhead? An arrow. They call it an arrow. They just do. They call it an arrow. What did the Bible say? Read it.
They that are delivered from the noise of archers.
They are delivered. So you can deliver from destruction. They that are delivered from the noise of the archers. Read on.
In the places of drawing water.
The place of drawing water, y'all, is wherever you're in captivity. Because when you're in captivity, you are subjection to your oppressor. You drawing water because you're oppressed. Go ahead, read on.
There shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord, even the righteous acts toward the inhabitants of his villages and Israel. Then shall the people of the Lord go down to the gates.
So we are rehearsing the righteous acts, which are the feast days, and going ahead doing the work of God. We are it's a dress rehearsal to get ourselves right for the real deal. So we have to be delivered from the noise of the archers of the thermonuclear destruction warheads. So therefore, in the meantime, we're in a place of drawing water, which is America here, in various areas where we are in captivity. We have to rehearse the righteous acts wherever we are in our dwelling places. Keeping the feast days, we have to do that. We have to rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord. From there, giving the book of Zechariah, chapter 14, verse 12. This is what Zechariah sees. Because when those bombs hit, y'all, he's seeing this in the spirit. You see, these things have to come to pass, people, because the Lord's camp have to be established. It have to happen. And I pray we're right, and I pray we're part of the Lord's camp, okay? Zechariah, chapter 14, verse 12, brother, that's what I want.
Zechariah chapter 14, verse 12.
Go ahead.
And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem.
So that fought against Jerusalem, which are the people. Jerusalem is not the actual Jerusalem over there with the fake Jews over there. It ain't talking about that. It's talking about us. Okay? Go ahead, read on.
Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet.
So a thermal nuke, I wish I could play a clip, but they'll clip us. But you look at that movie Judgment Day in Terminator 2, you saw when she saw in the vision of that thermal nuke hit and her skin came off her body, that's what Zechariah is seeing. Because when those nukes hit, your skin going to consume off your body. Okay, because that's when the nukes hit, when that fire burn you, it's going to consume, it's going to take the flesh off your skin. Read it what the Bible says, what it's going to do?
Zechariah chapter 14, verse 12.
Go ahead.
And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that fought against Jerusalem.
Go ahead.
Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet.
Go ahead.
And their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth.
Wow. He's seeing a vision of a nuke destroying a body. And the symbolism of the eyes, because of covetousness. The tongue, you spoke blasphemy against the Most High. It goes twofold. So that's why when them thermal nukes hit, you spoke blasphemy, you get hit. You have covetousness, you're going to get hit. But literally, your skin going to come off your body and burn up. I hope people understand that. Okay? Hope people see that. Go to Isaiah 47, verse 1. Because when Christ cracked that sky, he ain't coming like he came the first time. He ain't coming. He came the first time. He came peaceable. Like we said last night, he ain't come to send peace on earth. Okay, he come to send a sword, but he gonna come this way. Isaiah chapter 47, verse 1 is what I want.
Isaiah chapter 47, verse 1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of Chaldeans.
The daughter of the Chaldeans, we call the elite of Babylon, ancient Babylon. Go ahead, read on.
For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate.
Oh, no, you won't, because it's going to hit. The caterpillar's going to rise up as well. It's going to hit. Go ahead, read on. Go ahead.
Verse 2, take the milestones and grind meal. Uncover thy locks. Make bare the leg.
Make bare the leg, which means you're going to, because when a woman's leg in ancient times was bare, that means it was shameful. Now all these different things that America was covering up, their shame is being shown. The hidden history. Go ahead, read on.
Uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers.
Go ahead.
Make verse 3. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered.
Thy nakedness is the sins is being uncovered. People starting to see this place as being wicked, and they still being wicked by hiding history. They want to hide all the history, all the wrongs they were doing, to hide behind politics and hide. Go ahead, read on. Read.
Yea, thy shame shall be seen.
Their shame is being seen all over the world. They say this place is a hypocrite because you're saying that you're supposed to be righteous, but you don't want to pay reparations. You don't want to do the right thing by the children of Israel, which you've done to our people, but you want to tell someone else how to run their country. They're not being respected. Go ahead, read on. Go ahead, read.
I will take vengeance and will not meet thee as a man.
Christ says he ain't going to meet us as a man. He won't meet. He's coming in his full power. Read on, read.
Verse 4. As for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name.
Go ahead.
The Holy One of Israel.
Verse
5. Sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called the lady of the kingdom.
No, you won't. Because what's going to happen, the Most High God going to bring this place down. He's going to bring it down. Read on, read.
Verse 6, I was wroth with my people.
He was wroth with us because that's why he put us in captivity. Go ahead, read on.
I have polluted my inheritance and given them into thine hand. Thou didst show them no mercy.
They didn't show us no mercy because we were supposed to serve them servitude. But they want to kill us, rape our women, throw our kids to alligators. All those things, they wasn't supposed to do that. Take our identity, they wasn't supposed to do all that. Go ahead, read on.
Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke.
Go ahead, read.
Verse 7. And thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever.
That's what they think. I should be a lady forever. Go ahead, read on.
So that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart.
Go ahead.
Neither didst remember the latter end of it.
Go ahead, brother.
Verse 8. Therefore, hear now this. Thou art given to pleasures that dwellest carelessly, and that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me.
That's what they think. I am, and no one. Why? Because they're a superpower. They believe they're gonna last forever. How do I know that? Give me the book of Psalms, chapter 49, verse 11. They think they're gonna live forever. They think, can nobody stop us? Because we have nukes. We're a superpower. Can no one bring us down? That's the pride of thine heart have deceived thee. They think, can nobody stop us because we're a superpower? They think their house can live forever. Psalms chapter 49, verse 11, and come back to this, brother. Come back.
Psalm chapter 49, verse 11.
Go ahead.
Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever.
They think their house can live forever. Why? Because they're a superpower. They think, can nobody stop us? Can no one stop us? Read on, read.
And their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own
Like
name.
America Vespucci, America. Africa, Leo Scipio Africanus. They call the names of the place after their names. Why? Once they conquer it, they call the land after their names. Go ahead, read it. Was that it? Was that it?
Yeah, that was it.
That was it. That's all I want to go back to where we're at in 2 Peter. Well, no, it's not 2 Peter. Isaiah, thank you. My mind was all over the place.
Isaiah chapter
47, yes, 47, yes.
47.
Mhm.
Let me see what we was at.
Okay, Isaiah 47. You was at the one. Hold on. Let me go to it again. I can remember it. Because I went back there. Okay, Isaiah chapter 47. Okay, you want
You want verse 8 again?
yes, sir.
Isaiah chapter 47, verse 8. Therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children.
Because that's prophecy. They believe that's pride. They think we're a superpower. We're not going to lose nothing. They've sadly mistaken. Go read, next verse.
Verse 9. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day.
In one day. In one day, all these things shall. It hasn't happened yet. It's future tense. Read on.
The loss of children. And widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries, and for the great abundance of thine
the enchantments. This place is ran by witches and warlocks. Enchantments. They don't follow the Most High God as it is written. They don't do that. So this place is ran by witches and warlocks. Sorceries. Read on, read.
Verse 10. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee.
It perverted thee. The technology had perverted thee. They think they're over God. It perverted them. Read on.
And thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me.
None besides me. They think, can no one stop me because I'm a superpower? They believe that nonsense. They believe it because the Lord allowed them to rise up to take them down. The same way he did with Pharaoh. He'll allow Pharaoh to rise to power, then brought him down to show his power. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 11. Therefore shall evil come upon thee. Thou shalt not know from whence it rises.
They won't know where it's coming from. Go ahead, read on.
And mischief shall fall upon thee. Thou shalt not be able to put it off. And desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know.
Suddenly, from there, Jeremiah. Who's going to do the bidding? Jeremiah, chapter 51, verse 20. Who's going to do the Lord's bidding? Because now, the Lord himself saying he's going to come back. He won't meet thee as a man. But who's going to be with him? Who coming with him? Who's going to bring destruction with the Lord when he come back?
Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 20. Thou art my battle axe.
He what?
Thou art my battle axe.
Thou art my battle axe. Go ahead, read on, brother.
And weapons of war. For with thee will I break in pieces the nations.
So with thee, he going to break the nations. Go ahead, read on.
And with thee will I destroy kingdoms.
Go ahead.
Verse 21. And with thee I will I break in pieces the horse and the rider. And with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider.
That's going to happen. With thee, it means future tense. It hadn't happened yet. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 22. With thee also will I break in pieces man and woman. And with thee will I break in pieces old and young. And with thee will I break in pieces young man and maid.
Go ahead.
Verse 23. I will also break in pieces with thee the shepherd and his flock. And with thee will I break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen. And with thee will I break in pieces captains and rulers. Verse 24. And I will render unto Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion in your sight, saith the Lord.
These things going to have to happen because all they have done to our people, it has to come back. Because here's the thing. He's going to recompense the heathen, recompense them. Read on. Payback. Read.
Verse 25. Behold, I am against thee, O destroyer mountains, destroying mountains. Saith the Lord, which destroys all the earth. Will I stretch out my hand upon thee and roll thee down from the rocks, and will make thee a burnt mountain.
A burnt mountain, because when them nukes hit, it's going to be a burnt kingdom, a burnt government. He's going to allow these things to happen. Why? Because it's future prophecy. From there, Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 14. Because now what's going to happen, we were fishers. Remember last night, we talked about fishers last night? Uh-oh. Fishing going to be over. Fishing going to be over. Okay? We're fishers, right? We're fishers. Now it's time to become what now? Now it's time to be hunters now. Because we were fishers at first, fishers of men. Like right now we're fishing. We're fishing. That's why we have to fish for the people. Spread the gospel. We're fishers of men right now. But when judgment happens, it's going to transform. Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 14.
Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 14. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt.
Why is it saying that? Because this right here, this deliverance going to be so spectacular. You ain't going to remember Egypt. You be like, what happened when he got out of Babylon the Great? That's how more spectacular this deliverance going to be. The new Passover, by the way. Go ahead, read.
Verse 15. But the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north.
The land of the what?
Of the north.
Of the north. North America, as you do know that. The bulk of the Israelites is on this western hemisphere. North, South, and Central Americas. That's where the bulk of the Israelites are. Read on.
And from all the lands whither he had driven them.
Go ahead.
And I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers.
So had that happened yet? No, that's future tense. We're not in our land. The so-called Jews, the Gentiles in our land. You see? And the Lord didn't bring them there. The League of Nations brought them there. You see? With the spiteful minds. Read on, read.
Verse 16. Behold, I will send for many fishers, saith the Lord, and they shall fish them.
Go ahead.
And after will I send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill and out of the holes of the rock.
The holes of the rocks are doomsday bunkers. They think they're going to hide from the battle axe, from the camp of the Lord. You think you're going to hide. You ain't going to be able to hide. The hunters, you done being fishers, now going to be hunters now. Hunting now. Go ahead, read, brother, read.
Verse 17, for my eyes are upon all their ways.
Go ahead.
And they are not hid from my face. Neither is their iniquity hid from my eyes.
Go ahead.
Verse 18, and first I will recompense their iniquity.
Recompense means he's going to bring forth judgment, payback, righteous payback. Read on, read.
And their sin double, because they have defiled my land. They have filled my inheritance with the carcasses of their detestable and abominable
And
things.
that's what's happening. They have a gay pride parade on the land. They eating what they call kosher pigs. They call it white steak, eating pork on the land. Detestable things they're doing on the land. That's why we got to hunt them down. With the camp of the Lord, we're going to have to hunt. Because right now we're fishers. We're fishing the tribes. But once the tribes get galvanized and come together on the one accord, the Lord's camp will be great.
There's going to be trouble.
The Lord's camp is going to be great. 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 1. 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 1.
2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 1. And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night. Verse 2. And lo, there arose a wind from the east that would move all the waves thereof. Verse 3. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him.
So the thousands of heaven is going to be with him. The thousands of heaven going to be with him. Go ahead, read on. Read.
Verse 4. And whithersoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it fleeth the fire.
So in the midst of World War III, this is going to have to take place. Read on, read.
Verse 5. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of heaven, to subdue the man that came out of the sea.
When it says the four winds of heaven, World War III, to subdue the man came out of the sea, talking about Christ come out from space. The sea is space, right? He's coming back. Go ahead, read on, read.
Verse 6. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain, and flew upon it.
Go ahead, brother.
Verse 7. But I would have seen the region or place where out the hill was graven, and I could
I
not.
could not. So Ezra's saying this in the spirit. Go ahead, read on. Read.
Verse 8, and after this I beheld, and lo, all they which had gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight.
They were trying to fight Christ. They were afraid, but they still going to try to fight Christ. The same way in these movies. You know, in the movies when they want to fight aliens and stuff like that.
Their military, their army, their the
Space
Marines,
Force.
and all this stuff, trying to come together and fight.
And fight Christ. Go ahead, read on. That's what they got. What y'all think they got all them weapons and stuff for? It ain't just to fight them, it's to fight Christ.
And it's always something stupid that make them win.
Right.
Like they take a drop of water and splash it on them, like, oh,
Right.
we won.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Right. That's the movies for you. That's Hollywood. Go ahead, read on. Read.
Verse 9, and lo, as I saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war.
He didn't have to. It's a reason why. Read on. Read.
Verse 10, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests.
Go ahead.
Verse 11, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of a innumerable multitude no thing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid.
Could you imagine he could smell the smoke in his vision? So Ezra was able to see this destruction. He said he was afraid when he saw this. Because when the innumerable multitude, when the Lord's camp, the battle axe, the weapons of war, he's going to use Israel to do it, to destroy, to take out these people, to subdue the nations, to hunt them, to become hunters. And it won't be nothing nice. I promise you that. Jump to verse 37, verse 38.
Verse 37, and this, my son, shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations, which for their wicked life are fallen into the tempest.
So now it's letting me know my son, which is Christ, is being prophesied, who'll be doing this. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 38, and shall lay before them their evil thoughts and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto a flame. And he shall destroy them without labor by the law, which is like
by the what?
By the law.
Gonna be destroyed them by the law,
which is like unto fire.
like unto fire. Who is the Lord's camp? Who are they? Who are these mysterious individuals? Revelation chapter 14, verse 1. Who is this? Who are we talking about here? It all comes down to this. Who are we talking about? Revelation chapter 14, start at verse 1.
Revelation chapter 14, verse 1. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads.
So the 144,000 is what is being talked about, right? Because when they say have the father's name written in their foreheads, it will be in their minds. Then you're going to have the name. Then you're going to have the name. Okay, not now. All we have is titles. Go ahead, read on. Read.
Revelation chapter 14 and verse 2.
Go ahead.
And I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps.
Go ahead.
Verse 3. And they sung as if it were a new song before the throne, and before the four beasts, and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000, which were redeemed from the earth.
Go ahead.
Verse 4. These are
they redeemed from the earth, which means they had to come out of the earth. Okay, because these men had to be drafted into the army out of the earth, rather in this time period or the time periods before us. The 144,000, what you do not know, is not just in this generation, generations of old. Okay, not just in now. It's gonna be even the ones before us, the 144,000. Y'all don't know that, right? Go ahead, read on. Read.
Verse 4. These are they which were not defiled with women.
When it says not defiled women, it means they weren't defiled with doctrines. Okay? They weren't defiled with different doctrines. They kept the charge of the Most High. Read on, read.
For they are virgins.
They are virgins. Read on.
These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits of God and to the Lamb.
Being the best of the best, the first fruits, the best of the best. Next verse, read on.
Verse 5. And in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God.
They are without fault before the throne of God. Before the throne of God. Keep it in mind. Stay in Revelation, chapter 20, verse 4. Let's stick with that throne for a minute. We're almost done. The Revelation 20 and verse 4.
Revelation chapter 20, verse 4. And I saw thrones.
Stop. I saw thrones from there. Daniel chapter 7, verse 9. He saw thrones, and I saw thrones, right? And I saw, what did he see? Let's see if Daniel saw the same thing. I saw thrones. What throne? Daniel 7, verse 9.
Daniel chapter 7, verse 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down.
I behold the thrones were cast down. Read on. Different kingdoms. Read on.
And the Ancient of Days did sit.
The Ancient of Days is the Most High himself. Why is it called the Ancient of Days? He had no beginning and no end. Read on. Read.
Whose garment was white as snow.
Go ahead.
And the hair of his head like the pure wool. His and his throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire.
His throne was the great throne, and his chariot was huge. He has a chariot too, by the way. The Most High himself has a chariot. You can imagine the vision that Daniel saw. From there, Matthew chapter 19, verse 28. Dealing with throne. It says, and he says in Revelation, and I saw thrones. I saw thrones. That was John is seeing.
Matthew chapter 19, verse 28. And Jesus said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel.
It represents rulership. Set upon the thrones. Okay? Go back to Revelation 20 and verse 4.
Revelation chapter 20, verse 4. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them.
And judgment was given upon them. How do we know that? Give me Daniel chapter 7, verse 22. How about, I'll have to break this whole thing down. I'm not going to do it tonight, though. Because I know people, for time's sake, people probably, Daniel 7:22.
Daniel chapter 7, verse 22. Until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints.
And judgment given to who?
To the saints.
Judgment was given to the saints.
Of the Most High.
Of the Most High. Same way we were talking about in Revelation. Judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. The thrones, the judgment is coming. Go read on.
And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom.
The saints possess the kingdom. Because you sit on thrones, you're in rulership. You judge because you're judging the nations. Go read on, read.
Verse 23. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms.
Yes.
And shall devour the whole earth.
You see that today. The kingdom, you see this fourth kingdom right now is devouring the whole earth with the different ideologies and the different policies. Go ahead, read on.
And shall tread down and break it in pieces.
Go ahead, read.
Verse 24. And the 10 horns out of the kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them.
You see that now. You see that with the 10 heads and 7 horns. We did that before. 10 in common market. So we did that. So we're showing you the rulership that this man has. But I ain't gonna break it all the way down. Go back. I can go through Daniel all day. But go back to Revelation where we're at. I don't want to hit too many precepts.
Revelation chapter 20, verse
3.
4.
Go to verse 4 again. 4, yeah.
Verse 4. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them.
To the saints. Judgment was given to the saints. We read that in Daniel. Judgment was given to the saints. Read on.
And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus,
Uh-huh.
and for the word of God.
Go ahead.
And which had not worshipped the beast.
We did the mark of the beast last week. It didn't worship the beast. Didn't worship the beast. Read on.
Neither his image,
Uh-huh.
neither had received his mark upon their forehead,
Uh-huh.
or in their hands.
Uh-huh.
And they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years.
So you live and reign with Christ 1,000 years. Because this is the first resurrection. You're going to live with Christ for 1,000 years. That's what we're fighting for as we speak. Read on, read.
Verse 5. But the rest of the dead lived not until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection.
The first resurrection. The first resurrection is what you want. The first resurrection, 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16. Because you want to be able to go through the first resurrection, what you want. You want to go through the first resurrection. Because you have the first resurrection, the second resurrection won't have no power. It won't have no power over you. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16.
1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise
so
first.
The dead in Christ, the martyrs, the people that stood so stiffly for the Lord, gonna rise first. Gonna rise first. Read on.
Verse 17.
Yes.
Then we, which are alive and remain, shall be caught up together with them in the cloud to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord.
So go back to Revelation chapter 20 and verse 5 again, brother.
Revelation chapter 20, verse 5. But the rest of the dead lived not again till the 1,000 years was finished. This is the first resurrection.
The first resurrection. After 1,000 years, the first resurrection, going right with Christ. Satan going to come back again to try to do what? To fight Christ and to deceive the world. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 6. Blessed and holy is he that had part in the first resurrection.
Because here's the thing. You got the first resurrection. Blessed are you. You want that first resurrection. It's very important. Read on, read.
Blessed and holy is he that had part in the first resurrection.
Right.
On such the second death hath no power.
The second death hath no power. Go ahead, read on.
But they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years.
Shall reign with him 1,000 years. Read on.
Verse 7. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loose out of his prison.
So now Satan gonna get, so after the 1,000 years is up, Satan gonna get released again after the 1,000 years. But watch what Satan try to do. Read on.
Verse 8. And shall go out to deceive the nations which are the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog.
Go ahead.
To gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sands of the sea.
So now they're gonna try to go and fight Christ. So the Satan gonna gather the nations together to fight Christ like years back, like before. So right now, the Lord's camp is great. Because now what's gonna happen after 1,000 years, the Lord's camp gonna come and deal with this now. Next verse, read on.
Verse 9. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints.
The camp of the who?
The saints.
The camp of the saints. This is the Lord's camp right now for you anti-campers. So the camp of the who?
And compassed the camp of the saints.
Go ahead.
About, and the beloved city. And fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them.
And destroyed them. They try to try to deal with the Lord's camp. So what makes you think you won't be a part of a camp? The Lord's camp is great and mighty. How do we know that? Go to Joel, chapter 2, verse 1. All come down to this. The Lord's camp is great. So rehearse your righteous act of gathering with your people. Okay? Not forsaking the assembly. We have to gather together as the nation of Israel, come together to build righteously. But people saying, camp. The Lord's camp is great. You want to be a part of that camp, don't you? Okay, you want to be a part of that camp of your people. Joel, chapter 2, verse 1.
Joel chapter 2, verse 1. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound the alarm in my holy mountain.
Go ahead.
Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand.
The day of the Lord is coming. It's nigh at hand. It's nigh at hand. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 2, a day of darkness and out of gloominess,
Yes.
a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong there had not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even the years of many generations.
So this is right here, the Lord's camp, which is called the 144,000. Okay? This is who's fighting right now. This is going to be what we call the army of the Most High. Okay, read.
Verse 3, a fire devoured before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them.
Nothing shall escape them, because they're going to become hunters. Nothing. When judgment happened, when 144,000 hit everybody, it can be something you've never seen before in your life. The ghost army, the 140, the rulers. Okay, read.
The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen, so shall they run.
Go ahead.
Verse 5, like the noise of chariots on the top of mountains, shall they leap, like the noise of flame of fire that devoured the stubble, as strong people set in battle array.
Because as a strong people, this is like your superheroes that you see on TV. They won't be able to die. They're going to be coming to destroy the wickedness, the wicked people, our people, and also the nations. Believe that. Read.
Verse 6, before their face the people shall be much pain. All faces shall gather blackness.
Go ahead.
Verse 7, they shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war. And they shall march every one on his ways, and they shall not break their rank.
No one shall break rank, which means they're going to be in order. They're going to be in order with Christ. Go ahead, read.
Verse 8, neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk every one in his path. And when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded.
They shall not die. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 9, they shall run to and fro in the city. They shall run upon the wall. They shall climb upon the houses. They shall enter in at the windows like a thief.
Like when they're bringing judgment. They're the battle axe weapons of war. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 10, the earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining.
Do y'all know what's really coming to the earth? This 144,000, the Lord's camp, verse 11.
Verse 11, and the Lord shall utter his voice before his army. For his camp is very great.
His what?
His camp is very great.
His camp is very great. Read on.
For he is strong that executed his word. For the day of the Lord is great and very terrible, and who can abide it?
And who can abide in it? Who can? So the Lord's camp is the Lord's camp is great. We're fighting for that position, y'all, to galvanize our people to the great camp, the Most High's camp. And that's what we're fighting for. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 21. Hope y'all enjoyed today's class. Hope you were edified. Hope you understand the significance of the Lord's camp. That's where we're trying to get to, the Lord's camp, okay? The Lord's camp. So 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 21.
1 Peter chapter 2, verse 21. For even hereunto were ye called.
You were called to the Lord's camp. Are you ready for that? You were called. Hereunto were you called. Read on.
Because Christ also suffered for us.
Go ahead.
Leaving us an example.
Go ahead.
That ye shall follow his steps.
Go ahead.
Verse 22. Who did no sin. Neither was guile found in his mouth.
Just like the 144,000. No guile was in their mouth either. Read on.
Verse 23. Who, when he reviled not again. When he suffered, he threatened not.
Go ahead.
But committed himself to him that judgeth righteously.
The omnipotent one, the Father. That's who he committed himself to. The book of Acts, chapter 5, verse 29.
The book of Acts, chapter 5 and verse 29.
Go ahead.
Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said,
Go ahead.
We ought to obey God rather than men.
We ought to obey God rather than men. Listen, y'all. It's been a pleasure to share this word with y'all. want to give the Most High Christ all the praise and glory for allowing us to be able to share this word with everybody. I pray you was edified today. May the Most High Christ bless you all. Listen, we want to give a shout out to the other elders, the bishops, the deacons, the priests, the counselors, the women out there doing the great work. Keep it the great work, people, because guess what, Israel? We got. So please send up your arms. Please send up your arms, help us build a nation. Your donations greatly appreciated. We really appreciate all your help, all your support. We really appreciate everything everyone's done for us. Really appreciate it. We enjoy it. Also, please come join the force. Come join the family. Come help us build righteously. Why? The labors are few, but the harvest is great. Come join the family so you can help us build and do the right thing for our people. We have to spread this gospel, this glorious gospel, because guess what, everybody? We want to get out of here. Get out of here and go to our glorious kingdom, okay? So that before we finish up, okay, I want to give a disclaimer out there. What we're about to do is called the breaking of the bread, okay? So I'm going to keep this in mind. You have to be 20 years old and up to participate. And this isn't called communion. This isn't communion. It's breaking of the bread. And what this symbolizes, everyone, is the fact you understand without a shadow of a doubt for yourself that this is 100% the truth. You understand this. So what I'm going to say to you is this. If you're not sure, please don't partake, okay? Because if you do this, y'all, and go back into the world or go over to a false doctrine such as Christianity, you have blasphemed the Holy Ghost, which means you won't be forgiven in this world or forgive the world to come. So we urge you, if you're not sure, you're not compelled to do this, take your time. If you're not sure that you believe this for yourself, that this is 100% of the truth, okay? Because at the end of the day, y'all, we don't have a heaven and hell to put you in. So it's up to you to know that this is the truth for you, okay? So, since I said that disclaimer, please for 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 23.
1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 23.
Go ahead.
For I have received of the Lord that which also I delivered unto you, that the Lord Jesus, the same night which he was betrayed, took bread.
Go ahead.
Verse 24. And when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, Take, eat, this is my body, which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me.
Go ahead.
After the same manner also he took the cup when he had supped, saying, This cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye oft as you drink it in remembrance of me. For as often as ye eat this bread and drink this cup of the Lord, ye do show the Lord's death till he come. Wherefore whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Lord unworthily shall be guilty of the body and blood of the Lord. But let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. For he that eateth and drinketh unworthily eateth and drinketh damnation to himself, not discerning the Lord's body. Verse 30. For this cause many are weak and sickly among you, and many sleep.
All right. Well, I hope everybody understand that. So if you partake in this, you understand for yourself that this is 100% of the truth. Once again, y'all, I want to just give a shout out to all the other people doing the great works. Thank the Most High in Christ. Once again, Brother Raphael, to my right. Until next time, everybody be blessed and say shalom.
Romans chapter 11 and verse 1. I say then, hath God cast away his people?
As God cast away his people, you so-called blacks and Hispanics, the Israelites, have God cast away his people? Read.
God forbid.
Meaning no. God has not cast away the Israelites. Read.
For I also am an Israelite.
Paul said, I also am an Israelite. That's the New Testament. Read.
Of the seed of Abraham. Of the tribe of Benjamin.